Greetings. Welcome to my weekly market recap, 7th January 2023. This is my first session of the year. Wish you all very happy and prosperous New Year. I'm Sagar Nandi, retired IT professional swing trading stocks using the systems and techniques that I developed, Q systems. You may contact me using my email ID info@superiorprofit.co. Sorry about that. I switched off my mobile. I regularly share live stock and market analysis on my website, Twitter page, and YouTube channel. These are all open to the public, and you are most welcome to make use of them. Disclaimer: this demonstration is for educational purposes only. I am not an investment advisor. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. Options trading can be risky. You may refer to the characteristics and risks of standardized options document to decide if options trading is suitable for you. I use the Q systems running on Metastock and TradeStation. The technical analysis component runs on TradeStation. All the other components, including technical analysis, runs on Metastock. That was the last slide. Let's continue with the live systems. As I publicly announced, other than the regular market recap, I'll review a number of trading ideas I shared publicly. As always, before knowing the results and how I identified them, how you could identify them. All of them are in a profit, and all those trades I shared before Friday, before others probably started to turn bullish. I'll do that, but let's go through the market recap first. A look at the global markets, starting with Australian index, all ordinaries. Notice this very long-term trend line support in weekly. These memory trend lines work beautifully. Whenever it is at a support, that's a potential buy point. In daily, the buy point came right on this day. That was a down candle, so I wouldn't buy on that day. Very next day, using real-time fine-tuned template, you could buy all ordinaries. And it has gone up since then. It was a kind of bounce long trade setup, bounce from trend line support. What is the direction? It is uptrending. What is my preferred trading direction? That is also bullish. Next, Topix Japanese index. Topix gives us an example of the situation where the instrument may be downtrending, but my preferred trading direction is bullish. It is clearly downtrending, has lower high, lower low. However, I notice one day earlier it had a bullish indecision, and on Friday a very unique Q signal, the headwind reversal signal that broke the trendline resistance. The weekly was coming down. However, it also displayed the bullish indecision at the bottom. Looking at that, though it is downtrending in daily, my preferred trading direction is actually long or bullish. Next, China CSI 300. And remember, as always, though I am analyzing it on global indices or sometimes stocks from other countries, not USA, but the analysis techniques are the same for any liquid instrument. So the learnings that we get from analyzing global markets, we can apply them to USA market and vice versa. China's CSI 300 index, it is uptrending for shorter term. However, if you look at a longer term period, it is inside a triangle pattern created by trendline resistance at the top, trendline support at the bottom. It is right in the middle of that triangle pattern. That is a no trading area. Another reason that I will not take a long trade, though it is uptrending, is because it is right at the watermark resistance level, pivot resistance, at which point the bearish headwind came earlier, which could push price down, and now a bearish indecision has come at the same level. Looking at that, I am not going to buy, and also I am not going to buy because it is right in the middle of the triangle pattern. Am I going to short? No, because even if price comes down on Monday, it will be too close to the trend line support to take a short trade. Instead, what I would like CSI 300 to do is to come down to the trend line support and go up again, giving me a low risk trend following flow trade setup. When was the last flow setup that we had here? That was here. When was the previous one? That was here. You could buy CSI 300 on any of those 2 days and you would have a profitable swing trade. It would not stop out. Direction inside a triangle, preferred trading direction, none. I will stand aside. Next, India's Nifty 50 index. It was one of the strongest global markets. In fact, it was the strongest of all markets, all major markets. However, it is not so bullish right now. And remember the headwind signal. It works both on the upside and downside. The decline started right after Q Systems plotted the bearish headwinds at the top in both weekly and daily. And along the way, I was taking short trades all the time. Made a good profit. My Indian traders know that. We have a separate forum for them. I took series of short trades, and now what is my view? What is the direction? It's inside a triangle pattern. It did break below the trendline support here on Friday. However, the break was not decisive because the candle had a lower tail. If it continues to go down, I'll continue to short in the Indian market. However, if it goes back up above the trendline support and then breaks the immediate trendline resistance, then I will turn bullish in the Indian market. Right now, I will wait. There is not enough signal to decide whether to take long or short trades. I will decide that on Monday after the market opens using real-time charts. Next, FTSE index, UK market. This is looking very bullish. Of all the markets that we saw so far, this is most bullish because it is breaking a long-term resistance in both weekly and daily with very bullish shape and bullish color candles in both weekly and daily. FTSE is bullish both in terms of direction and my preferred trading direction. What about the global market? We saw some markets are bullish, some are not so bullish. The global index as a whole, that is part of Q market breadth, that is very indecisive. Right at the tip of the triangle pattern, very indecisive. At the tip of the triangle, if it breaks to the upside, I'll be bullish. If it breaks to the downside, I'll be bearish. Now, no decision, waiting. What about the USA market? Let's use Q Elite on TradeStation for that. Use the market ETFs to study the USA market. S&P 500 ETF SPY. Remember the trend line support and resistances work very well. That it did in this case also. It had a sharp drop here, then consolidated for a number of days and then went up with a bullish flow on Friday. This is looking bullish. And this is at a very low risk buy point. Now interesting thing is that when you look at the Friday's candle, you may start to turn bullish. But if you follow me on Twitter or on my website, other channels, you will know from public posts that I have started taking bullish trades before Friday. And I always say, if you see the trades I am sharing, you know I am bullish or bearish. The fact that though SPY was consolidating, I was sharing long trade ideas, you knew probably that I was sharing them and I was taking probably some of them, if not all, if not more. I'll share a number of trades today, how I analyzed them. I didn't have the time to do the market recap last 2 weeks. I'll make up for that by sharing those analysis. It is currently looking bullish. Now, what is the trend? It's actually sideways. Therefore, if you are starting to buy on Friday, be aware of that there is a trend line resistance, actually multiple of them nearby, both in daily, weekly. And once again, one gentleman asked me, do I trade if a trend line resistance is nearby? Do I buy if trend line resistance is nearby? No, never. There is some distance to the trend line resistance. So Friday you could buy some stocks. I bought stocks earlier also. I will share some stocks that you could consider buying on Friday also. But the direction is sideways inside the triangle. Notice weekly is yellow. Daily is bullish, but weekly is neutral in color. QQQ. I pointed to the weekly yellow in SPY. For QQQ, the weekly is still bearish. However, even if it is in a downtrend, I mentioned I am perfectly okay to take bullish trades. And in this case, we have a bullish setup in QQQ. That is a breakout setup because the instrument broke above trendline resistance on Friday. It also did so with bullish flow. Now, could you start taking long trades earlier? Yes, of course. The very unique bullish headwind came on this day at the bottom. The bottom created by the bullish headwind didn't breach much, and my preferred instrument using headwind is verticals. If you traded using verticals, you already are in a nice profit by Friday's close. What kind of verticals? For bullish trades, I would like to use short put vertical. So time decay would be in my favor. Decrease in volatility would also be in my favor, and certainly delta would be in my favor. QQQ is bullish, and here the trend line resistance is far away. So I'll be more comfortable taking long trade in QQQ today rather than in SPY. Hello Wadi, nice to see you again. Dia, this was and this is the strongest of the four USA market ETFs. It hardly dipped in the daily chart. In fact, it held the yellow and white direction lines, and now it has gone up with a bullish flow on Friday. Weekly yellow, better than QQQ, same as SPY. Is it in an uptrend? No. Again, the answer is very clear when we look at the charts. It is inside a triangle pattern. Could you buy at the close on Friday? Yes. However, we would be aware that a trend line resistance is nearby. It's still moving sideways, but it is the strongest of the market ETFs. Lastly, IWM Russell 2000 ETF. Notice the weekly backdrop. Here it is bullish, the strongest. It has turned strongest of the four market ETFs in the weekly chart in terms of backdrop color. However, it was falling earlier. And what is the direction? It is inside a triangle, so it is moving sideways. Will I be happy to buy on Friday? No, because trend line resistance is very close. I would be happier to buy QQQ or probably DIA, not SPY or IWM, because of proximity to the trend line resistance. And once again, notice the bullish headwind that came right at the bottom. That was the time probably to take a long trade either in IWM, or you could drill down to small cap stocks using Q index and find strong fundamental stocks that were also reversing at the same time. If I used the bullish headwind, my favored instrument would be short put vertical, and that would also be in a nice profit by Friday's close. So USA market is bullish as of Friday's close, but not very bullish because the instruments, the market ETFs seem to be inside a triangle pattern. That is not a very bullish pattern, but even if a stock is in a downtrend, I am able to take long trades using reversal setup. So there were plenty of long trades to take in last couple of days. I'll look at some of them, but let's continue with the market recap. External view I looked at. Now is the time to look at the very powerful. I never trade without that. Neither would you if you had access to similar insight. That is the market breadth total view. And one of the Indian traders commented recently that your accuracy is very high, and I humbly acknowledge, yes, it is so. One reason is because I look at internals also, not only externals. Q market breadth total view. I didn't have the market recap last 2 weeks, so let's look back a little bit. When the market fell, and after that we had bullish accumulation, that was the time to start to look for buying opportunities. However, when the first bullish accumulation came, the number was 2, still significant. Anything above 1 is significant, but not very big number, not 3, 4, 5, 6. And when that bullish accumulation happened, the other very useful signal, the yellow line, percentage of stocks above 50 MA, that was still coming down with lower high, lower low. So that was not the time to buy. Then it moved sideways for a while. And then on this day, we had a bullish accumulation count of 6, the largest number. And it also had an Eureka day. Eureka is a signal created by Mr. Ian Woodward, may him rest in peace. I implemented it here. And I commented earlier that the accumulation count comes either on the same day or before the Eureka day. In this case, they coincided. And the yellow line was still coming down at that time. Then we had another Eureka day, an accumulation count of 1. Now see a series of bullish signals one after another, while the market price total view was creating a base. And the yellow line, the rate of decline was reducing and it was starting to turn up. So this was the period when I started to take long trades and share them publicly as well, at least some of them, not all of them, too many to share. On Friday, we have again a very large accumulation count, 4, but not as high as 6 as we had earlier, but 4 is large enough, so that is bullish. And if I remove the drawings and start drawing again, now when I see yellow line, percentage of stocks above 50-day moving average is having higher high, higher low. That is a time to start buying stocks. And I did that before Friday itself. Is it overbought? No. The yellow line is nowhere close to the upper extreme. The other important gauge, 3-month new high low, and those who follow me, they know that some of these signals I implemented either because some gentlemen asked me or because I watched them through their videos, through their trading. I found them useful and I implemented them in Q systems. 3-month new high low is one such signal. It's a commonly known signal, but not every system has it. I implemented it after following Mr. Jeffrey Scott, Dr. Jeffrey Scott. Very useful signal. 3-month new high low. Is it overbought? No. Of course, in Q systems, everything is very visual. It will be overbought at these extreme levels. It is nowhere near that. So we are seeing bullish signals, but not overbought level. That is the time to buy. And some kind of stocks do better than others when the market starts to move up from a low price level. What do I mean by do better than others? They tend to move bigger percentages. And of course, you know, those are high growth stocks, and high growth stock traders like to see that small cap growth going up. That is happening now. If I look at growth versus value, that tilted up on Friday. Of course, it is still in a downtrend. We don't yet have one higher high, higher low, but it did tilt up on Friday. Growth versus value. So growth is favored now. Small cap versus large cap, that has already been in uptrend, higher high, higher low. So small cap was already doing better. Growth has started to do better, but remember it is still in a downtrend, unlike small cap. But there is some hope that high growth stocks, small cap growth stocks will do well again. Of course, I trade all kinds of stocks so long as they are liquid, but there are many traders who favor high growth stocks, be it HJSI kind of investors or IBD kind of investors, and I do take high growth stocks as well. You know that because one of the two key dimensions I look at in terms of fundamentals is growth and value. So I trade both. The third dimension maybe not as much I follow as growth and value, that is dividend yield. Sometimes I look at that as well. These are the three key dimensions I look at to decide whether in terms of fundamentals I buy a stock or not. And growth stocks tend to move fast when they move in both upside and downside. Now maybe time to start looking at growth stocks. I buy both growth and value. So market breadth total view is looking bullish. Now I would like to show you the commentary. Sometimes we miss a signal or two when we look at the chart. So I developed the commentary. Every Q chart has a commentary. It reads the chart like I would do. This is on market breadth total view. Anything that is in red color is bearish or on the overbought side. Green is bullish or oversold side. Yellow, not yellow here. Yellow would be invisible on white background. Blue is neutral. So I'll not go through the signals, but if I scroll down, you will see it's full of green. That is very bullish. If I look at NYSE versus NASDAQ, so from market breadth total view, I'm now drilling down to the NASDAQ and NYSE. Look at the percentage of stocks above 50-day MA. For NASDAQ, sharply uptrending. For NYSE also it is uptrending, but probably not as sharply as NASDAQ. So I commented earlier when I looked at the external view market ETF that I would prefer to buy QQQ than SPY, and when I look at market internals, that is supporting the external view that I will favor NASDAQ stocks than NYSE. Of course I can buy NYSE stocks also, but I would prefer NASDAQ. None of them are overbought, but NYSE is approaching the overbought level, very close to the overbought level in terms of 3-month new high low. Again, another reason to favor NASDAQ stocks than NYSE stocks. There are other market breadth studies. I will not look at all of them. Let's just look at the mega cap tech stocks custom index. What is the trend? Clear downtrend. Lower high, lower low. Now created a double bottom, and at the double bottom it is creating a base. Friday's candle color shape both are bullish. However, if you compare this chart with the market ETFs, this is much weaker. So mega caps are not favored. Not that you couldn't try mega caps. I did share 2 mega cap buying ideas. I traded both of them. Both of them did well. But relatively speaking, mega caps are doing worse. They will probably do better if they could break out of the trendline resistances, thereby breaking the downtrend. It is in a downtrend, but I am very comfortable buying stocks in a downtrend if I have proper trade setup using Q analysis, as I did for Netflix and Facebook Meta. I'll share those analysis later. So when I look at the external view, we could buy on Friday, but not everything, because trendline resistance is there in some of the market ETFs, not very far. When I look at the internal view using market breadth, that is telling me to be bullish. Now let's look at the sector industry stock level. So from market, external view, internal view, now I am moving on to the sector level, industry level and stock level using Q Edge. Sector industry stock advanced decline breadth from month 1 month to 1 day. Everything is bullish. 1 month, that's a longer term view, is less bullish than the others. That's nice. So longer term was bearish and it has very nicely turned bullish, Friday being the most bullish of all. It is very green, very bullish. Is it overbought? from market breadth angle, that answer comes from bucket analysis. Again, something that I implemented after Dr. Jeffrey Scott asked if I could do it in real time. Yes, it is done in real time in QEdge. The percentage of stocks in the uppermost bucket, that is above upper Bollinger Band, is at 21%. It becomes overbought at 30 to 40% level. So we still have some ways to go. Is it bullish? Yes. Bucket analysis shows 72% stocks are above mid Bollinger Band. That is bullish, but not overbought yet. Again, we would like to continue buying from this angle also. On Friday, all sectors went up. Because market is turning, let's look at the sector view. Sector graph. One day, all sectors went up. Over 2 days, 10 sectors went up, one went down. The one that went down was real estate, but the decline percentage was very small, insignificant compared to all the up moves over 1 and 2 day periods. Over 5 days, 9 sectors up, 2 down. Over 10 days, 10 sectors up, 1 down. Over 1 month, we have less bullishness, but still bullish, 7 sectors up, 4 down. This is looking very bullish. Not overbought, because we saw that from bucket analysis is not overbought, so we can continue to buy. Now let's see which sectors did best on Friday. Materials, infotech, both went up by more than 3%. The red bars are 1 day percentage performance. Then industrials, financials, energy, consumer staples, consumer discretionary, communication services, real estate, utilities. All of them went up by more than 2%. Only healthcare is the one that went up by more than 1%. But all of them went up, and you can now see whether it was defensive sector or non-defensive sector. Everything went up, but the best performers are mostly non-defensive. Of course, consumer staples also went up strongly, but the non-defensive went up, but non-defensives did better. Of course, everything went up. You could buy stocks in all sectors on Friday. Bullish but not overbought. That's a nice place to be in. Is that view corroborated by technical breadth? Technical breadth. Very important part of trading profitably, because we make money buying stocks only if it goes up. I was probably on mute for a while. Sorry about that. The weekly signals very bullish. 90% of all signals bullish. 94% of strength signals. 91% of trend continuation, and 83% of reversal signals. Everything is bullish in the weekly period, and on Friday again everything is very bullish. 35% of stocks in my trading universe, that is all liquid stocks, had a gap up open. 13% broke out. About 10% gave a trend following long setup. Some gave pullback setup as well. There were lesser reversal setups. There were some, but lesser. There were many more breakout setups and trend following setups. You could easily find trades that were both breakouts and with bullish flow probably. If we have time, I will try to look at some of them. some of the buy signals that we can consider on Friday. We could do that on Friday. So technical breadth is also bullish. Is it overbought? QFinder has a way of showing whether it is getting overbought. That is, when the price level of the bullish signals mostly come from the green level, which is not true. Now most of the bullish signals are coming from the yellow neutral level. That is very healthy bullish market. That's the time we can buy more confidently. So from every angle we see that it is bullish, and I started sharing some bullish ideas. Let's now look at them, look at those tweets and how I found them. Netflix. In debt sequence, no pick and choose. These were the only ideas I shared, not that I am picking the ones that made profit. These were the only ideas I shared in time sequence. On January 3, I shared Netflix on Twitter. Let's look at my analysis. I looked at seasonality. January seasonality is bullish for Netflix. And average when up is a very large 28%. So from seasonality perspective, I could look to buy. Of course, I don't buy based on seasonality alone. I always look at technical charts, but seasonality was telling that I could consider buying. And what did I see on Q charts? It pulled back to the yellow direction line. Then from red traffic light, it turned to green, had a bull release signal, and then a bullish flow. That is when I shared the idea. It gave a long pullback setup, and you could buy using verticals. I did that. I shared that in the tweet also. Netflix could be traded ahead of the earnings using a defined risk strategy like a bullish vertical. How is Netflix today? Let's look at that. I shared the idea on Netflix on this day when the bullish flow came. It has very nicely gone up from there. You could easily book profit, at least partial profit by now. I traded it using verticals. You could trade it using stocks also, so long as you know to exit the trade before earnings or take protective action before earnings. This trade shared long before Friday's bullish market worked very well. Next one I shared on Twitter was on Meta. In date sequence, that was also on 3rd January. Meta had a gap up open and breaking the daily memory trendline resistance. Breaking up memory trendline is bullish, and this is the snapshot I shared. Using live charts on Q Elite on TradeStation, could use Metastock Q Global also. Here I shared the daily 30-minute, 5-minute and 5-minute charts. The two 5-minute charts are using different templates, all Q templates. In daily, it was breaking above the trendline resistance. You can see that in the magnified version also. In the 30-minute interval also, it was breaking above a trendline resistance, as you could see in the magnified version. It created a sharp false downside move and went up. At the close, the 30-minute candle was very bullish. And in 5-minute chart, in precision entry template, it created the early range, barely went below the early range and was sharply going up. It broke the protection short level. So I shared it right at the point these bars were closing. That was looking very bullish. I shared that on Jan 3. How is Facebook today? Meta. I shared the idea on this day and it has continued to go up. All the candles are bullish. Friday's closing is also very bullish. Once again, if you traded it, if you identified it in time, you are in a trade in a nice profit by Friday's close. Weekly is looking quite bullish. In fact, among the mega caps, this is one of the most bullish charts if you look at weekly daily, but I could enter it now. If you look back, I could enter it on this day right when it was going out of this congestion level, right when it was coming out of the squeeze at price extreme low. Perfect timing, isn't it? For both Netflix and Meta, but those were not only trades I shared. Let's look at some more. Next tweet I shared was on January 4th, the next day, and I shared a detailed analysis of the stock on my forum. Let's look at the forum post. I think that was CSTM. Yes, CSTM. Let's look at the 360 degrees analysis. Aluminum industry was one of the top 20% in strength and also in terms of acceleration. Remember, not Friday, long before Friday. I analyzed it. Industry was strong and sharply up by 2.2% at that time. What time? 10:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the morning session. Industry was telling me I could consider buying. Then I found this stock CSTM undervalued with growth in earnings, that is 3-star candidate, plus with revenue growth, that's a diamond buy candidate. In addition, I had a short squeeze potential. Every reason to buy in terms of fundamentals. And again, long before Friday, I identified it. At that time, 100% of peer stocks were up. Not only in terms of relative score in Q Edge, it was strong, the industry, aluminum industry. In itself, the industry was also very strong. And how was the technical charts? A perfect Q breakout pattern, breakout setup, breakout from triangle, and also breaking out from Q squeeze. CSTM with a very bullish shape candle with big move up to. That was a breakout setup I shared. How is CSTM today? Did I share any more? Okay, I shared the commentary. Always helps to look at the commentary, especially when you are new. Even I look at it sometimes. The commentary showed that it had a breakout long setup and the stock was in an uptrend. If you scroll down, it had more detailed reading of the entire chart. So that is what I shared few days ago. Let's look at CSTM now. In Q Elite, we can see the historical trend lines that are broken now. I shared it as a breakout setup on this day. Since then, it is going up. So this trade is also in a profit. And the last tweet that I mentioned, 4 out of 4 trades in profit, no pick and choose, sharing all the ideas I shared, analyzing them. I tweeted about another chart, this chart, not this one, this was CSTM. The last chart was this one. Let's look at the text. This was on 5th Jan in time sequence. There are enough signals to consider a buy in the stock. It happens to be in an industry that was cruise industry that looks promising with all the COVID opening up, be it in the USA, China or elsewhere. And later on I shared the ticker on Traders Club. What was the ticker? We can look it up from the Traders Club. Traders Club has open access to all Q traders. It was CCL, Carnival. How was the chart at that time? I shared in the tweet. In the weekly, it was creating a reverse head and shoulder pattern. Not that I trade using that. I have very reliable, timely Q setups, and the Q setup in daily was a breakout setup. Breakout setup at price extreme low. It was still inside a squeeze. The breakout happened with very high volume with big move up 3 and a very bullish shape candle with bullish flow. Enough number of bullish signals in terms of technicals. In a very promising industry, isn't it? CCL, Carnival. How is Carnival today? I shared it on this day. It has nicely gone up. Let's look at the historical trend lines. It had a breakout setup on this day when I shared it, and since then it has gone up. It has a trend line resistance now. Looking at that, you could consider booking partial profit on Friday, or looking at the very bullish market, you could continue to hold. Both were valid decisions at the close of Friday. Again, a trade I shared before Friday when others were probably turning bullish. All of those 4 trades, 4 out of 4, made a profit. Now I shared another tweet today. Let's look at that. Close this. That you see these ideas I share, I can time the market very well, time the stocks entry, buying or shorting very well. When you don't use a reliable or unambiguous or easy to use system, it's not so easy. And I wanted to demonstrate that using few more charts in this tweet. Could you buy these well-known stocks at the optimal times as shown in the charts? Of course, I could do that. I mentioned I would share that how I could do that using Q systems in the live session today. But let's look at the charts. This is Airbnb. The question was, could you buy it on this day, right at the bottom? From there, it has gone up nicely. When was the day you could buy it? That was 29th December last year. Airbnb, ABNB. How? It was using a reversal headwind setup. Let's look at the chart now using Q. ABNB. The unique headwind signal came right at the bottom. Reversal signal that was coming at watermark support, at which point bullish headwind had come earlier, which led to a big price move up. So I could buy, you could buy Airbnb again on this day. What would be the preferred instrument? Short put vertical. It has nicely gone up since then. See the difference it makes to look at a symbol using Q charts, Q systems and techniques, and a blank chart, clean chart. So that was Airbnb. ABNB you could buy at the bottom. By the way, let's look at the commentary. Let's go back to Airbnb, 29th December. Let's look at the commentary. On 29th December, I shifted to 29th December. As of 29th December, the commentary told you that there was a headwind trend reversal long setup. It was not in an uptrend. That is perfectly fine because headwind is a reversal trade setup. Once you get used to the systems, you may not use the commentary, or you may still use it sometimes like I do. That was Airbnb. Let's look at some other charts. Next one, MOS, Mosaic Company. Could you buy it right at the bottom, the lowest candle of the day? That was MOS on 4th January. Yes, I could, you could, if you used Q systems using headwind reversal setup again. That was 4th Jan. Let's look at MOS. Not Macy's. Sorry about that. MOS. The bullish headwind came once again on the lowest candle of the down move. How unique is that? That was the day to buy Mosaic. I bought it and it has nicely gone up. On Friday, you could easily book partial profit. I did that. Let's look at the commentary. Move to the bullish headwind day. 4th January, it gave a headwind trend reversal long setup. It was in a downtrend. That's perfectly all right because headwind is a very unique trend reversal long setup. Not difficult to read the charts and even easier with the commentary, right? Next one, FCX. It is not in a downtrend. Could you buy it on this day? That was FCX on 4th January in Q systems. That was a flow trend following long setup. FCX on 4th January. If you look back, this day was not so interesting or promising if you look at a clean chart or maybe using other systems. But Q systems signaled a buy on that day, very beautifully went up from there. Let's look at the Q charts now. FCX on 4th Jan. You could buy it on this day using the flow tick flow signal. That's a trend following long setup. It was in an uptrend, still in an uptrend. We could buy at the optimal point. Look at the commentary. 4th January. It's not a trend reversal but a flow trend following long setup. It was uptrending. So far so good. In fact, I would say great. The last one, CCJ, Cameo Corp. Could you buy right on this day? That was also a flow trend following long setup on 5th January. Before Friday, remember. CCJ on 5th Jan. Let's look at the Q charts. That would be on this day when it gave the trend following long setup. If you did not have Q signals, you would not probably buy on this day. But Q signaled a flow trend following long setup when it was still inside the apparent range, and very next day it shoot up. I traded this as well. Let's look at the commentary on this day. On 5th Jan, it signaled a flow trend following long setup. It was uptrending. So I looked at some of the tweets I shared before knowing the results, and I also showed how much difference it makes, the Q global charts or Q elite charts, and in Q global you have the commentary also now. Now I have 5 more minutes. Let's look at few trades on Friday. On Friday, one would be cautious probably not to buy too much because suddenly the market turned bullish suddenly. And why I use the word suddenly, in Q systems nothing is subjective. When I use a term suddenly, there must be some meaning behind it. The meaning is if you see the percentage of stocks in the upper band in bucket analysis, it jumped up from 1.3% to 21.3%. So it's a jump of 20% in one day. And a sudden move, in fact, in a way, it's also overbought. There are two ways to look at overbought market in bucket analysis. One is when the percentage itself in the uppermost bucket goes to 30-40% level. That has not reached yet. However, the percentage of stocks in the uppermost bucket has gone up too fast in one day by 20%. Anything more than 10% is a sudden up move, and 20% is too much. In fact, I booked profit in all the long positions I held on Friday, either partial or full. All the long positions in the USA market, looking at this sudden up move, which is overbought in one way, and also you can see the percentage of stocks above mid Bollinger Band jumped by a massive percentage from 44 to 72. Here also anything more than 10% is to be noticed, but overbought level is defined in Q systems from bucket analysis either of two ways. One is the percentage of stocks above upper Bollinger Band, that's the percentage of stocks in the uppermost bucket to be at 30 to 40% level, which has not reached yet, or a daily percentage change of anything above 10%, and that has signaled a overbought level. That's why the sudden up move is to be cautious. And you see the pattern, the way I trade. I took long trades when the market was not overbought. In some ways, in bucket analysis, in fact, only one way it's overbought now. So I booked profit, at least partial, in all my long positions. But there are buying ideas using, I think, using 360 degrees analysis. Didn't have time to look at all the angles. Let's look at two stocks. I have 2 more minutes. Let's look at them using Q Global. You could use Q Elite also. Let's look at this stock, and I am now going to use 3 chart template, including the momentum signals on the rightmost panel as the HSI like signals. Again, I incorporated them in Q Global Q Elite after watching Mr. Dr. Jeffrey Scott. I don't sell them for a fee. I offered them to certain traders if they are accustomed with HSI systems and they are using Q Global Q Elite. I don't sell them for a price, but I wanted to show something. So I have a daily template, the momentum signals, HSI like signals, Q entry daily, Q backdrop, weekly. Let's look at two stocks. One is HBM. What is not to like in this stock? In daily, beautiful breakout from trendline resistance from a narrow price move, bullish flow, possible flow long setup as well as a breakout setup. Weekly backdrop very bullish, color shape both are bullish. And notice in the momentum HSI like signals, Mobo breakout from a squeeze with a Kahuna, with Bongo turning green. I trade based on the Q signals, but in this case the Q signals came on the same day that momentum signals also signaled a buy using Mobo breakout from a squeeze with Kahuna. Usually you will notice Q signals either precede or coincide with other signals, other systems. So this was a very powerful move, low risk entry in HBM. But how was its fundamentals and industry strength? Let's complete the 360 degrees analysis. Using Q Vital to retrieve data about the stock and carry out the fundamental analysis. I was not connected to Refinitiv. It connected automatically and retrieving the data now. While it is retrieving data about the stock, let's look at the industry score from QEdge. All are integrated. The industry score, instantly we can see very visual systems. One of the top 20% industries. What is the industry? Diversified metals and mining. Over 5 days, it is top 20% accelerating industry. On Friday, the industry went up by a massive 4.5%. Anything above 2% is very large, 4.5% is massive. So industry was very strong, and in terms of fundamentals, medium valuation, earnings growth is not good. Negative earnings growth. There is a short squeeze potential and funds are accumulating. So it is not a perfect buy candidate in terms of fundamentals, but looking at the chart pattern, industry strength, funds are accumulating and the short squeeze potential, you could buy the stock. Let's look at one more stock, a very unique ticker, UU. How often do you come across a ticker like that? 4Us. Let's look at the chart. UU, energy fuels. See, once again, it is a nice breakout with a bullish flow. And this bullish flow is coming after a bullish headwind. First bullish flow after a small pullback, after bullish headwind, that's also a buy point. In addition, we have a breakout long setup, weekly backdrop, color, shape, both are bullish. Here also in the momentum signals, you will see Mobo breakout from a squeeze with a Kahuna, Bongo turned green. Q signals are giving buy setup and momentum signals are also giving confirming the buy. So I didn't need them, but I just demonstrated how powerful the systems are. By the way, why don't I open at least one of them? You maybe look at them using the 3 chart template and look at the commentary in both entry chart as well as the momentum chart. U dot O dot K. Let's see on Friday, if I read the commentary on Q charts, what would it show? It would show that it has two possible buy setups, a breakout long setup and a flow trend following long setup. It is in an uptrend, and if I scroll down, you will see more green than red. The setup was already there, two setups in fact, possible two setups, and there were bullish signals. And if I looked at the momentum chart, I clicked on the momentum chart and automatically the commentary for the momentum chart came. If you looked at the toolback analysis, price went up, see the green colors, Bongo bullish, bullish Kahuna in a squeeze with a Mobo breakout. The way I read the chart here, the commentary is reading that out for me. Exactly how an expert trader, I have to say myself as an expert because I developed the systems, exactly how an expert trader would. I'm not just a developer, I trade and share ideas publicly. I think you could call me an expert trader using Q system. So this would, the commentaries would read the charts as I would do that. So these were two buy setups you could identify. But how was it? Did we see its fundamentals? Not very well earnings growth. Funds are not accumulating. There is a short squeeze potential. I mentioned I didn't have time to complete the 360 degrees analysis, just identified few tickers from technical charts, and I will spend probably 1 more minute to show how I identified them. But fundamentals are not that great. Coal and consumable fuels industry. Interesting is also uranium industry. Keep that in mind. Q is again unique in one way because it shows us different possibilities. a stock may be in multiple industries. Just one assignment is sometimes not enough. So we have two assignments, industry and alternate industry. You may think of uranium to be important, more important now, because USA announced they have discovered how to have fission energy. Not sure if that requires uranium. If you thought about the war going on or energy requirement, you could consider uranium to be important. Coal is also important, it seems nowadays. How is the industry strength? Let's look that up from QH. One of the top 20% in terms of strength, and over 2 days it is one of the top 20% in terms of acceleration. On Friday went up by a massive 4%. Anything above 2% is high, 4% is massive. So you could consider buying both of these stocks. Fundamentals are not that great, but industry strength, very important, bullish, market view, bullish, and technical survey. Now, how did I find those stocks? Many ways to do that. You could do technical first, bottom up. One way is to look at this picture. Remember when I saw these percentages of breakout, large percentage, more than 10, and flow almost 10, I mentioned that you could more easily find trades from these categories: breakout setup or bullish trend following long setup, and you could probably find some where we had both. So how I did it is I went to the bullish signals, flagged the bullish flow, flagged the breakouts. I was left with how many signals? Symbols? 29 symbols. I could just look at those symbols, but I have an ability to correlate them with the momentum signals with a single click. So I came to the momentum signals, and this I came to from bullish Q signals to momentum signals, and I noticed there were many squeezes and Mobo breakout from squeeze Kahuna. So I used some clicks to flag for Kahuna in a squeeze with Mobo breakout. U was there, HBM was there. One went up by 6% plus U, and HBM went up by 10% on Friday. What were the Q signals? I could again cross-reference with Q signals for these two stocks only. Both of them gave a flow plus breakout setup. HBM went up with bullish pressure as well. How was their weekly signals? If you were interested, both of them are creating reversal bullish signals, and one of them, HBM, also has a bullish flow. So this multi-dimensional analysis is very easily done using few clicks using Vital. That is how I identified these two technical setups, and I carried out the 360 degrees, that is fundamental industry analysis, also during this session. Easy to find trades, easy to take them, at least for me, and also book profit when I have them. That's enough for today. We are at the 1 hour point. Thanks a lot for joining. I look forward to seeing you in my next session. Most probably it will be next weekend. I'll announce the date time on Twitter as usual. Have a great weekend, and as these live analysis shared publicly all the time show, there is no reason not to do that. Trade profitably. Thank you.